5 minutes, I'd appreciate it. Anyone? Yes, ma'am.
Damaris Miller, Hampton District. Good afternoon. I'm so glad that we are moving ahead with something for broadband. However, I urge caution. We were among the first in this county to put up a pole for Virginia broadband when we were down at the southern end of the county. Delighted to do it. It meant that 12 of our neighbors could have broadband just using that one 65-foot pole. They removed to another section and switched to the one that was in that area, Piedmont Broadband. Both of these were local companies, and they were very, very good to work with. They always provided very good service. Now, I know there are many areas in the county that do not have good broadband service, some that have none at all. Same true for the cell service. But I do urge caution. I looked over a proposal by one of the companies that is applying for this grant. And I see that it is primarily owned by Chuck Aker, who may be a very fine person, may be a very generous, good, decent person. But there are those in this county who say Patrick O'Connell is the 500-pound gorilla of the town of Washington. If he is, Chuck Aker is the 30-ton King Kong for Rappahannock County. He now owns the largest tract of land in this county. He is going to be building this Rush River Commons, swamp or not. And he has enough money to buy the entire county, if he so chooses. He also has a very large hand in Foothills Forum. His company that wants to have one of these things wants to have a non-compete clause in that contract. If there's anybody who should have competition, it is Chuck Aker. But frankly, being an inveterate capitalist, I like competition all over the place. We're all better off for it. We're better off when Piedmont Broadband and Virginia Broadband compete. We are not better off when the county joins hands with a giant company and then doesn't allow competition. I think it's very important to consider these kinds of things. We have local people. Let's see what we can do here to enhance what is available currently. Thank you.
Anyone else in the room?
Point of order, Madam Chairman, are we going to hear from Mr. Cates this evening, or is that during presentation, or is this his only opportunity to speak?
I would give him an opportunity to speak during presentations if that suits the authority. A little bit more time because you have to speak what you presented.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, Dean Deacons, Hampton District. With a few exceptions, this board, this broadband authority, which also comprises our board of supervisors, told us and known they this board either has a short-term memory problem or they have no problem breaking promises. I was in this courtroom when the broadband authority was authorized to go into existence. Mr. Parrish in particular sat right there and told us that under no circumstances would there be any use of taxpayer funds. And I have subsequently found out that there's about $50,000 worth of funds that are being provided by the county. And I'd like an explanation as to why. And if this money is money that you think is free coming from the government, well, there is no such thing. It all has a string attached to it. And to me, it looks like a completely renegable promise. And as a county resident, I'm not interested, I said this before, I'm not interested in paying for somebody else's broadband. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Page 20, Jackson District. I'm very happy that the progress is moving forward on broadband because it is needed. I would really like better service at my house. I am also interested more in what you have learned from your RFI, because that's why you do an RFI. Find out, to get information, all right? So I'll be anxious to hear what you will say about that. For me, my takeaways were, have a small company that believes that the schedule is unexecutable. Have a very large company that didn't seem to want to spend a whole lot of time putting together a proposal or a response. Then you had another company that seems like it's trying to limit competition. I'm not really sure what that clause means that they put in. I think it's paragraph 8 in the MOU that they provided. But does that mean that you cannot issue a permit to any competitor that wants to put up a tower in the county? Is that a county action that would be counter to what that clause says? That seems to be not in our all's best interest, right? But overall, overall, I really think that you need to, before you go much further into this, because it seems like very dangerous territory, that you get both more technical, procurement, and legal counsel, and people with experience in this area. I think you clearly don't have that now, and I think that puts you in a very poor negotiating position. That's it. Thank you very much.
Can you do the video tonight?
Hi, Mark Anderson from Piedmont District. For the fourth time in my life, I'm going to say Page Lenny is absolutely right. Feels good doing that, too. There's a lot to be gleaned from these responses to the RFIs. There's nuggets in each one. I guess the data stream one crashed and burned, so we don't even consider that as a responsive, but that's fine. One thing I want to remind you is the governor's blueprint for broadband for counties said, try to get responses to your RFI, and if nobody responds, call us. But we don't have to do that because we've got 3 decent ones. So we're in a pretty good position for a rural county because we get to pick and choose from 3 reasonably responsive documents. One thing I did notice, in terms of wireless equipment, there's a couple of assertions that wireless equipment will meet the 100/100 standard, which if you get top of the line wireless equipment, and if you looked at the Madison Gigabit one, they actually put the prices of the equipment in there, and they're not that great. Then we can meet the standard that's being imposed upon us by the feds and beyond the one that the state body requires. So I think that's great. I would caution you, and you're probably already thinking this, don't be too hasty, as Nurse Miller said. Don't commit to one solution until you have to. And maybe you don't have to, maybe you can parcel them out amongst different portions of the county. And I will repeat, we're still gonna need our own plan. I don't think I would trust some private company to put a plan together and then try to rely on it. And that's gonna raise the unspeakable term, GIS, yet again. So I have a proposal for how we can do GIS so nobody else can see it but county officials. And I'll share that later on. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, David Connick from Stonewall District. I would like to speak to basically 2 issues. I've reviewed responses you got to the RFI. I'm also a little bit troubled by some of the things that some of the prior speakers have said. And I don't know whether the authority members are aware, but a considerable part of my professional career has been spent on public utility regulation. I was counsel to the 7th largest gas distribution company in the United States for about 6 years. And after that, I was a senior consultant to the deputy chairman of the Federal Energy Commission of the Russian Federation. So I know about it in 2 different countries, very different in some respects, not so different in others because they're monopolies, they're regulated monopolies in both countries. So it's not without a total lack of experience that I say that I agree with everybody who said you should be very cautious before you take any steps on this. And I urge the authority to get counsel that is competent and knowledgeable, and even with my level of experience in regulatory matters, if I was on the authority or if I was counsel to the authority, I would give you the exact same advice because this is a very complicated deal. It involves upwards of $30 million. And the $30 million is without reference to inflation, which, by the way, I didn't see an inflation clause in any of the documents. Look at the past 6-7 months. The price of commodities, the price of precious metals, the price of rare metals, the price of gasoline have all gone up 30, 40, 50%, some more. And so when this thing gets built, assuming it does whatever they're promising to do or proposing to do, and it might be 12 to 18 months out, the $30 million could be $40 million, or it could be more. And you need to know and understand what you're getting into and what the potential liabilities are if various contingencies happen or fail to happen. What is the county obligated for, and who's going to pick up the pieces if, you know, in the beginning, every deal, everybody thinks it's going to be great. And I'm a proponent of improving our broadband capability in the county, but not at the risk of the taxpayers who might be on the hook for, we don't even know what. And I couldn't even tell you if you asked me what exactly. There's many things when I read that, I just see what look to me like what lawyers call hidden weeds in those documents. They seem very nice and the county's not committed to anything unless it signs and agrees in writing to do it. But once you take the first step and would sign something like that, you better make sure you know what you are committed to, and that it's clear that if things don't work out or materialize as you think, the county can get out of the deal. So I urge you to get counsel and somebody, preferably I would say from Richmond, that knows the state and federal regulatory scheme and knows about broadband and has dealt with this, because every member of the board, before you make any decisions or to even discuss it, you need to all be on the same page and get competent counsel to help you do that. Thank you.
Not seeing any here. I do see we have several people on Zoom. If you're interested in speaking during public comment, please raise your hand. I see one hand. No. Mr. Jefferson?
Miss Jefferson.
Mr. Jefferson?
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Broadband Authority. I'm Jill Jefferson in the Piedmont District, and I just want to thank everybody for their efforts for trying to promote broadband access for the community. We don't have broadband where we live, and in terms of just educational, employment, and emergency equitability and access. I'm so grateful that you're taking the time to advance this further. And whether it's through Chuck Ockery or any other method, I'm sure you'll find the best funding opportunities. I'm glad you've had at least 3 good responses, and I think all the comments that were brought up earlier in terms of contingency clauses are